Do you like NASCAR? Do you like a tribe called Quest? Well, you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like manwich and nachos? Well, then you'd love the Urban Conservative.
Do you like guns? Do you like butter? Well, you're gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Yo, what's good, son? You like pit bulls, say? You like solving Sudoku puzzles? Then you gonna love the Urban Conservative.
Hey, buddy, if your car making a sound like this, you might want to get you some power steering fluid and check out the Urban Conservative podcast.
Are you repulsed by the idea of drag queen story time at your local library, but enjoy Carol Baskin TikTok memes? Then you would enjoy the Urban Conservative. Do you want to slap your boss and then go home and make yourself some golden brown pancakes covered in butter and freshly made warm boysenberry syrup? Then you'll love the Urban Conservative.
Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com. This season of the Urban Conservative podcast is brought to you by Newton for Senate, working to improve education, reduce taxes, and keep North Carolina #1 for business. Find out more at newtonforsenate.com. This episode of the Urban Conservative has also been sponsored by Case Technology Consulting. Help your business get value out of its data and become more efficient and streamlined. Case Technology Consulting. Check out the link in the description.
All right. You go ahead, Ali.
I'm trying to get it. Oh, go ahead, bro. I was trying to mirror you. That's what I was trying to do, is mirror you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're checking out the Urban Conservative Podcast. It is a Monday night. It is a President's Day here in the great US of A. Thank you for rocking with us here on the Urban Conservative. Our mission is to share conservative values and principles to urban communities and the benefits of conservative policies across this great, amazing, and wonderful country of ours. If you haven't done so, the website on your screen is tuconservative.com. That is where you can support us and our mission. You can get yourself a commercial. You can sponsor a season. You can also, if you're a candidate running for office, we run and reach hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people each and every month. You can participate in that by visiting our website, tuconservative.com. As you can see, we've had some amazing guests. We've got one on tonight, by the way. But also, the wonderful thing about us here at the Urban Conservative is we're just not talking heads. We're actually in the game, as it were. I myself am running for U.S. House District 12 here in the great state of North Carolina. You can support that by visiting aliforcongress.com. We are working to make America better. I got to say this, bro.
Say it.
Mar-a-Lago was amazing.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about that. So you got to do a little Mar-a-Lagoing, huh? A little Mar-a-Lagoing, yeah.
Little Mar-a-Lagoing, and for the record, man, it gives you a lot to shoot for in life, bro. When that's somebody's house, like, yo,
yeah, that is absolutely insane, right?
Yeah, it was absolutely bananas. But I will say this, bro. It is a very interesting dynamic because, our mutual friend that was down there in Mar-a-Lago with us said the president was having a bad day. And I guess it is a bad day when somebody sues you for $350 million.
Make it 450 now.
It's up to 450. So yeah,
it's up to $450 million right now.
That's a $500 million. But Listen, before you go into bringing the guest on, right? Oh, you're gonna finish up the website thing. Go ahead, finish it up. No. But we have an opportunity here in North Carolina to do something unheard of, and that is to take the city of Charlotte back. We are number 50 out of 50 for large cities, last for upward economic mobility, and that is something we want to fix. We want to improve early childhood literacy, and we want to improve upward economic mobility. We need to send somebody like me to Congress that has the relationships, that has the know-how, and that's quite frankly has the energy to run and do what needs to be done. So again, that is Ali, ALIFOR, Congress.com to support that. We're asking you to help us do more in 24 by contributing at the website. Well, I wanted to just real quick shout out our good friends over at American Healer, our good brother Dr. Inky, and the good brother Sarnetta Studios, aka Mr. Sa, aka the master of the conscious community debate. Yeah, we appreciate all of that love we've been getting over there on Sa's channel. So shouts out to Inky, shouts out to Sarnetta. Now let's talk about tonight's guest, because this is an important race, man, and it is election season, so let's do it. Let's get this guest on. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, as you very well may know, Super Tuesday, March 5th is coming up upon us. It is primary season. There are numerous offices: North Carolina State Governor, Lieutenant Governor, Commissioner of Insurance, County Commissioner, school boards. But one office that is highly important to the people of North Carolina, to our tax dollars, quite frankly, is the office of the North Carolina State Auditor. And for the first time on the Urban Conservative, we have a brother running for that office in one gentleman by the name of Jim Key. Brother Jim Key is now going to join us here on the Urban Conservative. Welcome to the show, sir.
Hello, gentlemen.
Good evening. Good evening. We got to get our sound effect game right. There should have been like a huge, like a huge applause. Like, yo, do you remember the Jamaican? Not the Jamaican, like the sound effects button, the beep beep, and then it had like a crowd, and then yeah, we gotta find one of those on Amazon. But welcome to the show, brother.
Okay.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
Well, brother Jim, look, for the folks that may not know who you are, the first kind of section of this, we're going to talk a little bit about background. Where are you from originally? Give us the Jim Key background. Where you from? All that good stuff.
Okay. I am a native North Carolinian. I am from Northampton County. That's in northeast North Carolina, right on the Virginia line. I grew up there with my dad and my granddad and my great granddad and all of their wives, my mother, my grandmother, and my great grandmother. So I'm very fortunate to have had four generations in my life at all times. Right now, my dad's alive, and I'm alive, and I have a son and two grandsons. So that's still four generations of Keys in my family. And we're basically grew up as farmers and contractors, builders. My grandfather was a big farmer down in Northampton County. His brothers were one brother was a contractor, and uh, one was in the alcohol manufacturing and distribution business.
Okay.
They were all Republicans. They were all Republicans.
Okay.
My grandmother was a Republican until John F. Kennedy ran for president in 64, I believe. I can't
63,
remember.
64, something
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
She became a conservative Democrat at the time. And so I grew up in a bipartisan household. I'm very familiar with the Republican Party and the Democrat Party. And I became a conservative Democrat, I guess, because my grandmother fixed the food and prepared the meals, so she had more influence on the family. But I'm certainly no stranger to the Republican Party. I was a two-term former city councilman in Greensboro, and in my third race for reelection in 2016, I actually became a Republican during the race. Um, so that's a lot of conviction to change your party during the middle of a race.
That's right.
So that's where I am, and currently I'm a builder and developer in Greensboro. We're
Okay.
building 144 units for seniors and veterans. We have a commercial urban farm on the property, and we're powering everything with 1 megawatt of solar energy. So
Interesting.
that's kind of my story.
Interesting. So I want to go back a little bit. So growing up, having access to the previous generations, right? To the to granddad and all of that. How did that shape your political disposition? I know you said you had people on both sides of the aisle, and even to the extent where some folks understand that conservative Democrats, but what how did that lead you into kind of wanting to involved in politics, having that background?
Well, again, my grandfather was a farmer. His father was a farmer, and my dad was he had a job and he did farming part time. But I saw all of those fellows reach out into the community, go and get people and bring them to work, and have them earn some money for to take care of their families. So watching them is basically how I got into the public service mentality. Watching my father and grandfather and great grandfather.
Okay, where did you go to college?
North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University, right
Oh,
here in Greensboro.
you're an
ASU.
Aggie. That's
I'm an Aggie.
Aggie. Okay, gotcha.
Well, I real quick, Ali, I have to ask, right? So, kind of leaning off of that question, the perception of politics, right? Growing up, having, like my brother said, access to those generations, right? And it's I don't want to say unheard of these days, but it's you don't hear that very much, right? So, did you have those conversations that like were those political conversations had in the household, presidential time, who they were voting for, who they weren't, who they liked, who they didn't? Did you hear that kind of banter in the household, or was it kind of not a thing?
Yeah, from time to time we did hear that. My grandmother would voice her opinion on why she was supporting whoever she was supporting, and my grandfather was always Republican. He's going to vote Republican. He used to say that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. so, so I guess that was enough for him to be to be Republican. Yeah.
Yo, and again, shouts out. It's President's Day, so it makes sense. Makes sense. Ladies and gentlemen, we are kicking it with Jim Key, who is running for North Carolina State Auditor. We're gonna take a real quick commercial break. We're gonna come right back. We're gonna talk campaign stuff right here on the Urban Conservative. Don't go nowhere.
Tuesday, March 5th, vote Jim Key for North Carolina State Auditor. He's the only candidate with federal auditing experience. Vote Jim Key, your key to accountability for North Carolina. Paid for by the Committee to Elect Jim Key.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here on the Urban Conservative. I got a cat crawling up all over me. I heard you're a cat guy. I remember hearing something about that. You said you got a big old cat somewhere too, right?
Well, I used to have a big old cat on the farm. I
Oh.
did I fed all the animals except for the chickens, and a cat pretty similar to the one you have, same color. We used to have a cat. He used to follow me down to the hog pen when I was feeding the hogs, and just kind of follow me around like a dog. So it was, yeah,
Oh,
pretty interesting.
that's my Benjamin. That's my Benjamin. He will walk with me to the store and back. He's a, yeah, that's about right.
Okay.
So Jim, now there are several folks running for the office of state auditor. It is a highly important, as we've seen, we've covered on our platform about what's going on in places like Rocky Mount. What is your reason for wanting to jump into the state auditor's race?
Well, initially, a year ago in February, I announced my candidacy for lieutenant governor. And so I met with several GOP members in Guilford County and Forsyth County and Gaston County. And we talked about lieutenant governor for about 5 minutes. And then the conversation quickly shifted to state auditor. I had never really considered running for state auditor, but they said they noticed that I had federal auditing experience in my on my resume, and they asked me to consider running for state auditor. So the conversation continued, and they told me more about state auditor, and found out that it's really a very important council of state office. Uh, I was a federal auditor, but I know that when you regulate the money, you kind of it's kind of important. But I
Right.
never considered it on the state level.
Hmm.
That's kind
So
of how I got into running for state auditor.
So here you are now traveling the state. I've seen you running all across North Carolina, at everything you could possibly be at. There's some things that have gone on with the state auditor's office. Our last state auditor, Beth Wood, kind of exited stage left. We'll just call it unceremoniously, if you will. Uh, what do you see as the biggest issue facing the state auditor's office? And by virtue of that, the taxpayers of North Carolina? What is the biggest issue that you're seeing?
One of the big issues facing the state auditor's office is not unlike any company in North Carolina. They're all we all need laborers. We need employees. We're shortage. We're short on laborers, so we need to add maybe 25 to 30 state auditors in the office to uh, do the work of the people, to audit these various state and local government agencies.
Hmm. I'm looking at a report from this was an audit of the North Carolina Department of Public Safety. The audit required 688 hours at an approximate cost of $93,568. That's a lot of hours. That's a lot of taxpayers' dollars to audit those things. How do you suppose, what's the plan? How do we recruit people to get to want to get into the auditor's office? How do we get those, boots on the ground, if you will?
Well, I'm basically recruiting as I'm campaigning. Anyone that has a CPA or accounting background and that's Republican, I'm ready to talk to them about coming to the state auditor's office.
Okay, excellent. It has been said by some that the entire every all 100 school boards in North Carolina, counties that have school boards, that all 100 school boards would get audited. Do you think that's feasible?
Over a time period, yes, it is feasible,
Okay.
and depending upon the type of audit that you do. There's several types of audits. There's forensic audits, which not necessarily in depth. No, I mean, they're in depth, but they don't take a lot of time. But if you find something wrong in the forensic audit, then you kind of move to the operational audit, and that takes a little bit more time. And North Carolina has something that the federal government does not have, which is called a performance audit, which sounds like a pretty fun audit to do. You actually reconcile whether or not the funds that were allocated for a particular program met the goals.
Hmm. Interesting.
I got a question real
Go
quick.
ahead. Go ahead.
So, in context of like modern auditing practices, so how do you plan to leverage a lot of the technology and data analytics to enhance the effectiveness, if you will, of that auditing process? And if you can lay out some steps you would take to ensure the office stays current with advancements in technology and auditing software and things of that nature.
Well, the first thing I'm going to do, if I'm fortunate enough to win, is to bring back a guy named Tim Hogemeyer. Tim was he ran for state auditor last term against Anthony Street, and he lost. But Tim was general counsel for the state auditor's office for 13 years, and he headed up the fraud department. So Tim knows where all the bodies are buried, and he knows the directions that we need to go in. And so I'm going to rely heavily on him to kind of point us in the right direction, since he's been there for so long. He actually transferred out to another department after the election last term, but I've been communicating with him and I want to bring him back.
Excellent.
Excellent. Sounds like getting the right people, staffing the office with the right people is definitely a good move. One more thing before we hit this next commercial break. How for the person that doesn't know, because you mentioned having federal auditing experience, talk to that a little bit about what that experience was like and what you actually did in your role there.
Okay. Yeah, I was a federal auditor with the U.S. Treasury Department, the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. The Comptroller of the Currency is the federal department that regulates all national banks throughout the United States. And I was actually trained by a Republican team that discovered the infractions of Burt Lance. You may or may not remember the name Burt Lance. It was during the Jimmy Carter administration, and Burt Lance had gotten in some trouble with his savings loans and doing some things that were not ethical and legal. And so this team actually discovered that and brought him to light. And so years later, I joined this team, and they were legendary in the comptroller's office. And so that's where I got my training from these guys.
Yeah, I just Googled Burt Lance, and the first thing that came up was he is known for resigning from the Carter administration because of a scandal during his first year in office.
Yes.
Okay. Very interesting. Ladies and gentlemen, we are talking with Jim Key, candidate for North Carolina State Auditor here in the great state of North Carolina. We're going to take a very quick commercial break. We're going to come back real quick. We got a lightning round and a couple of more questions. Y'all don't want to miss this. Be right back on the Urban Conservative.
Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com. Tuesday, March 5th, vote Jim Key for North Carolina State Auditor. He's the only candidate with federal auditing experience. Vote Jim Key, your key to accountability for North Carolina. Paid for by the Committee to Elect Jim Key.
All right, y'all, we're back. Urban Conservative. It's a Monday night. It's President's Day. So we're here having a conversation with North Carolina State Auditor candidate Jim Key, who by far has one of the best political slogans I've heard. Play on the last name. Really cool auditor. Now the question is, who came up with that slogan? Who came up with that?
Actually, I did.
Okay. All right.
So I was playing around with different slogans, and that one kind of stuck out.
Right.
Okay.
Well, real quick, Ali. Like he mentioned, we had, previously done some investigative journalism, if you will, with the previous auditor. And one of the things in talking to, citizens around the state was this idea of transparency and not knowing what's really going on with the auditor's office. And, so you get elected. How do you work on that transparency and that public outreach and that public, information so people can know what's going on?
Well, we'll publish a newsletter. I would think at least quarterly, detailing the audits that we're performing, the ones that we're going to perform, how those audits are going, and there should be also a link on the government website that can get people updated as to what we're doing in the auditor's office. So those two ways, and of course we'll have you can call into the auditor's office and ask any specific question that you want, and we'll have people to answer those questions.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So for the people who feel like they didn't know, like, yes, you can just call the guy. You can pick up the phone and call, say, hey, I need to know what's going on. There's also a tip line. There's also different ways to make your auditor, your comptroller, your elected officials aware if you have concerns. So that's a big deal for us, that people understand that our elected officials work for us. So we shouldn't feel like we're bothering someone by making that call to your office, etc. So go ahead, Ali. You got something else before we get into this lightning round? Because
I got
20. I got 20.
All right, I got you. But I did get a text message question for you here, Jim Key, from a viewer over on YouTube. And the question is, what separates you from the other candidates running for state auditor?
Qualifications, simply qualifications. I'm the only candidate that has federal auditing experience. Actually, I'm the only candidate that has any auditing experience, Republican or Democrat. So that's the thing that far exceeds the other candidates is my qualifications.
All right. Well, Wilson, in North Carolina, there you go. You got your question answered, and rather directly, which is what we like. Appreciate that. All right. Now, Jim, this is the lightning round. This is the part of the show where, in order for you to earn the full screen, you got to survive the lightning round. We're going to ask you a series of questions. You answer the first thing that comes to your mind. We've talked all policy and all that formal stuff, but this is an opportunity for the folks in North Carolina to get to know the real Jim Key. And again, if you make it through the lightning round, you will get the entire screen to plug your campaign. Fire away, bro.
Favorite vacation spot?
Negril, Jamaica.
Okay.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Kind of both, but mostly morning.
Okay. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Favorite genre of music?
Probably pop.
Okay. Android or iPhone?
I have both. I prefer the Android, but I use the iPhone more.
Okay. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay. Early retirement or keep working?
Keep working.
Okay. Favorite type of cuisine?
Probably Oriental, Asian.
Okay. All right. Favorite season?
Spring and fall.
Spring and fall. Okay.
Spring or fall.
Okay. We got 3 more. Favorite outdoor activity?
Golf.
Golf.
Okay.
Really?
Golfer.
What's your game like over there?
Well, it used to be pretty good. I was the sales manager with U.S. Airways for about 9 years, and that's all I did was take customers out playing golf. Well, it wasn't all I did, but that was a big part of what I did.
Okay.
Was play golf, and so I was down to single digits.
Okay. Not bad. Not bad. Okay. Last 2. Favorite book or author?
Favorite book is the Bible.
Sold. Okay. Last one. Introvert or extrovert?
Extrovert.
There you go.
All right. He survived the lightning round. Did a ding, ding, ding. Therefore,
Okay.
you will get the screen for the next few seconds. Tell the folks how they can support your campaign, what you got going on, where you're going to be. The floor is now yours.
Well, thank you very much. My name again is Jim Key. I'm running for North Carolina State Auditor. Again, I'm the only candidate that has federal auditing experience. I am the only. Well, there's one other candidate, but I'm a candidate that was a former 2-term city councilman, in which the auditor has to interact with municipal government as well as county government and other types of state and local government. So it's very important that the auditor has experience in those areas. You can get in contact with me through my phone, which is 336-509-2369. My email is jimkey2013@gmail.com. And you can make checks out to Jim Key for State Auditor.
Absolutely fantastic. And ladies and gentlemen, on your screen, you shall also see here, as soon as Rod throws it up, the website, which is jimkeync.com. You can go there, find out more about Brother Jim Key, his rates for North Carolina State Auditor. You can also hit that donate button to make sure the brother makes it through. Again, that is jimkeync.com. Vote Jim Key for North Carolina State Auditor. With that said, ladies and gentlemen, you have been checking out a Monday night urban conservative podcast with our good friend down there, Jim Key, who is running for North Carolina State Auditor. We will see you guys live and direct for Top of the Morning right here on the Urban Conservative. For my twin brother over there, Raheem Architect Soto, I'm Abdul Ali. Happy President's Day. Peace and love, y'all.
Thank you, Joe.
Just because you're black doesn't mean you have to vote Democrat. This year, in order to see benefits for our communities, we need to vote outside the box. Find out more by visiting us at tuconservative.com. Tuesday, March 5th, vote Jim Key for North Carolina State Auditor. He's the only candidate with federal auditing experience. Vote Jim Key, your key to accountability for North Carolina. Paid for by the Committee to Elect Jim Key.